what I'm going to do is to try and give you two separate looks that I normally do. One when I literally have 5 minutes and it's just putting on the bare minimum of product just to look presentable and like you still made an effort. And then the second look is again still very short to do, but this is what I would do if I have like 15 minutes to get dressed, or 15 minutes to do my makeup rather. So the first thing I normally do, and this is the first look, which is literally if I have 5 minutes, this is what I do. I normally would either use BB cream, which this one here I have is MAC's BB cream, and if I have the extra time, what I like to do is actually make a little bit of a concoction. So I would usually mix my my Neutragena Age Shield Face, which is what I use every single day regardless of if I'm wearing makeup or not, and I take a little tiny bit of my Proactive Repairing Lotion. And you do not have to do this. I have very acne prone skin and it's very sensitive to anything that I put on it, whether it's powder, whether it's foundation, it will make me break out. So this is sort of, it's not proven or anything like that, this is just sort of my own concoction that protects my skin from sort of being affected by acne when I put product on it. So I take just like a drop of this and place it, mix it with this, and then also I do one of two. I use one of two. I would either use like a high coverage foundation, or I would use a few drops of my concealer. So I would just make a little concoction of this, which is what I'm going to do right now. For today's sake, I am going to use a little bit of the concealer. So I just use the back of my hand and I literally put like that amount of concealer just to get a little bit of coverage there. Again, the amount of concealer that I use is dependent on how bad my skin is that particular day. If it is I have a really bad breakout, I would use a little bit more concealer, and if my skin is fairly clear, I would probably do a little bit less. Now I do that, I get my Age Shield and I do not put a lot on there because this can tend to make you look very greasy. That's about as much as I put there, and this will literally be enough for your entire face. And then of course the very last thing, which is optional, and again try at your own risk, this is nothing that's proven, it's just my madness. I put like a little, can you see that? Like a little drop of the skincare in here, just like that. And then of course I would sort of do a little mix up on my hand. If you think this is a bit messy, there are palettes and stuff that you can buy to mix this on. Now normally if I'm feeling fancy, I would use my what do you call it, my Sigma Kabuki brush, but no, most times I'm just lazy, so I just go straight in. And of course I would go in and apply this, just sort of dot it along the face first. If you see me looking this way, it's because my mirror is this way. Just sort of dot it along the face first. Now this is after my moisturizer. I applied my moisturizer prior to filming, so that would be the only thing that I have on. Again, use what is necessary for your skin. If you have oily skin and you need primer and all of that, you could go ahead and just do those things before this step. Now again, this is not going to give me super coverage. I do have a few blemishes that are sort of sticking out like a sore thumb. So essentially what I do is I basically rub this in. I rub this in just like I would any like lotion, not necessarily foundation, because this is very, very sheer. It doesn't really give you a lot of room, you know, to make a lot of mistakes. It is very forgiving, and I just use my fingers and just spread this out. The only place I do not take this, and that's mainly because I have on I have it mixed with sunscreen, and of course that acne care is underneath the eyes, because I do not want my acne medication to be up underneath my eye on that delicate skin there, but literally like all the way up to the hairline, all the way. Make sure you blend it in because you don't want any patches, and you just sort of work it in. Now this gives you the SPF from the sunscreen, which is very important. It gives you a little bit of coverage just to even out the skin, nothing big and fancy as you can see, but it does even me out a bit, and because of that it gives the appearance of a smoother looking complexion. So once I'm done with this, usually the only thing I would do is if I have any sort of extra spots, and I do, like right here I have a little spot in my eyebrow, I would go back in with a little bit of that concealer like on the back of my hand and just sort of tap at that particular place, just like that. And I always just do a little bit underneath the eyes, again using my fingers, no set of fancy brushes. Most times when people see me on the outside, this is what I'm wearing. I don't look the way that I do on YouTube every single day. In fact, I very rarely look like that. I only look like that when I'm on YouTube. So yeah, anywhere that I would have like little issues or little acne that's kind of peeking through, or darkness, anything that I want to cover, I just go in and sort of spot conceal. And then what I also do with this concealer is I take it right over my eyelids to get rid of any sort of redness or any veins that might be showing through. Again, there's no big science to this. It's just a matter of, you know, just lightly getting some coverage. Same thing, tapping it out, and just whatever is on my finger, I spread across my eyebrow like that. So once that's done, I do have to set my makeup. This is something that I cannot go without doing personally. If I am wearing a long wearing foundation, it's not necessary for me all the time, but I still need to always set the under eyes of my, because my concealer will crease regardless of what I do. So I just go in, pick up a brush, doesn't matter which brush, any brush will do, and I use my face powder just in case anybody wants to know what that is. It is MAC Studio Hair Blend Powder. So I would just take this other brush and sort of look up and make the little fish face and just lightly tap under my eyes, and then just go and do a light coverage over the rest of the face, just so that I'm not looking like a total grease ball. And my go-to lipsticks are generally sort of mauve based. This is Revlon's color based lipstick, lip stain, the chubby pencil thing, and this is in 225 sultry. This is my go-to color. Most times you see me, I will be wearing this, and if I'm not wearing that, I'm wearing MAC's Twig lipstick, which looks like this, and of course it's clearly all gone, but they're basically around the same color. So I'm just going to pop a little bit of sultry on. And this is in Heartbreaker. Looks like this. It's sort of a peachy pinky color. Again, with my fingers, smile, big smile, and just sort of tap very lightly on the apples of my cheeks, and then I sort of take this like along here, almost like where your highlight would be, not necessarily along the lower part of the cheek. And what this does, it gives you that sort of a flushed, healthy, glowing from within kind of radiance. The thing that I go on to do is my mascara. Now this is the point where a lot of people tend to pick up an eyeliner and they tend to put that on, and if it's something that you personally like, again, everybody has their likes and their dislikes, but if you're looking for a product that makes the biggest bang for its buck, I would always suggest going with a mascara over an eyeliner. Simply because when your lashes are really fanned out and you draw attention to the lashes, they have a tendency to sort of open up the eyes. Whereas eyeliner, if you apply it incorrectly, or in most cases black eyeliner particularly, has a tendency to sort of close down the eyes and bring attention to them in a negative way. So I'm just going to quickly apply some mascara, and the one that I'm using, in case anybody wants to know, is a recent one. This is, I do not know the name of it, but it's one by MAC. It looks like this. I think it's the Extra Bit Dimension. I'm going to just apply this really quickly to my lashes. Good, and I always get my lower lashes as well. And you see that makes such a big difference already, because it just sort of opens up the eye and it just sort of makes the look a little bit more glamorous looking without having to do 1,000,003 products extra. So I would wait for that to dry, and while that's happening, I quickly do my brows. And I mean, there are ways that I can do my brows, but more than likely, because my brows, this is my brows, these are what they look like without anything on them. So they're very sort of bold and very dark on its own, and if I go through all that whole gel thing and all that sort of fanciness, I am going to walk in eyebrow first in the people party, and that is a no-no. It's not cute, right? So what I like to do is use my little trick, which if you haven't seen the video for my eyebrow trick, I'm going to put it down in the description box. The link will be there. and I'll probably put like a little thing right here where you can check that out. But I'm just going to fill in my eyebrow using this brown liquid liner pen really quickly. Again, you want to keep the eyebrows a little bit more on the subtle side because of the fact that we aren't wearing a lot of makeup. If you do make them very dark and dramatic, they will quickly overpower the rest of your face. Right, so what I usually do after my eyebrow, this is absolutely my favorite brow gel. This is by e.l.f. and it's the Wet Gloss Lash and Brow Clear Mascara, and I just use both sides to my eyebrows, really doesn't matter. And I would just kind of go through the brows and comb the hairs into place, just so that they're not falling down and being crazy, because I have a lot of brow hair. And literally this is all I do for that 5 minutes face. Now obviously it's taken more than 5 minutes because of the fact that I am speaking about everything that I'm doing, but this is what I do. So if I have more than that time, what I would usually do is exactly the same thing that I have on right now, but I would take it a step further. So I've removed my lipstick and everything else has remained the same. So what I normally do is, with the aid of 3 additional brushes, I take a fluffy brush and I would take a matte skin tone color like this, and I apply it all over the entire eye. Now obviously I would do this before I apply mascara, so if I do it, because I did my mascara just now, some of it may fall out on the actual lashes. I will try to avoid that. So I'm taking this color and I'm placing it all over the eye, all the way up underneath the brow bone. And again, this matches my skin tone. It's maybe about a shade lighter, if any. And what this is going to do is just, again, even out the eyelid. Good. And then once that's done, I would grab a shade that is a little bit deeper, like maybe about 2 shades darker. You can use your bronzer, which is what I usually end up doing most times, and I'm going to use this bronzer on my face in a few minutes. This is the Wet n Wild Color Icon bronzer, and this is Ticket to Brazil. So I just take the same fluffy brush, grab a little bit of this product, and then apply on my eye. In the socket, and again, this is just really to give a little bit of definition. Right in the socket, and a little bit up to where that sort of transition area is. Again, this is really just to add definition, and you don't want to go too dark here because I'm doing this pretty messily, but I just want to give the idea of having some depth there, and hopefully you can see that. Now this other part that I'm talking about, that I'm going to talk about, is not applicable to everybody. I am a little bit of a thick girl, and because of that I'm very sort of conscious about like the extra weight that my face has. So because of that, I tend to not leave the house without contouring at least. Well, if it's like I would usually use this same bronzer on a fluffy brush, something big and fluffy, because again we want some light application rather than something that's too heavy. I just lightly go in just to give my face some shape, and I do a little bit of light contouring on the areas that give me issues. So I would do underneath the chin, on the jawline a little bit, do it all the way around and sort of blend down so that we don't have just a harsh line right here. Same thing on the other side. Again, it's not so much contouring, it's really just slimming the face. That's what I'm doing. And you can do this how much you need to. I do not recommend, however, going very heavy with this, because it is a daytime look and you don't want people to see this sort of harsh brown, dirty looking stain along your face. So keep it a little bit more. Oh my god, my earring fell off. Why you gonna do me like that? And then what I do is I go back in with a blush that contains like a little bit of glow in it, so I don't have to over highlight. I kind of kill two birds with one stone. Now I'm using the Nars Orgasm blush. Again, this is not going to match everybody's skin tone, and it's quite pricey. A good dupe for these blushes though, for the way that they apply, are the Milani baked blushes. And to be honest with you, whichever one my hand grabs for first, I tend to just use it, because to be honest, there is no big difference between the two, and you can save yourself a lot of money substituting these for the Milani mineral blushes. So I'm just going to pick up this same brush, tap a little bit on the apples of the cheeks, and this color is a little bit light even on me, but what I like about this is that if you do invest in it, make sure it does go with your skin tone, because I am an NC42 in MAC, and this tends to not, for this to show on me, I have to really sort of dig into the product and get that and build that pigmentation up. So again, this has a little bit of a glow, and when I pop that on the cheek, it gives me a subtle bit of color and a little bit of a glow as well too. And whatever is left on the brush, I sort of just lightly dust over my high points, because I like to look dewy. Is I would take a dark brown matte eyeshadow, and this is the other brush that I'm using, which is just a trusty little nail art brush once more. So I'm using this shadow here. This is the Color Icon Wet n Wild Color Icon palette, and this is in what Vanity, and I'm just taking that dark brown. With this is take a little bit, and I would run this very messily at the lash line. So hopefully you can see what I'm doing there. And all this will do is what an eyeliner would essentially do. It gives you a little bit of definition at the lash line, see, without really taking away from your eyelashes. And using a powder rather than a pencil or a liquid, and I do make a little bit of a tiny wing on the corner here because it lifts my eye. Using a powder instead of a liquid or a pencil is going to be much more softer on the eye. Right, and now I'm taking that same thing on my lower lash line. So just like that. And really only on the outer edge of the eye, just to add some definition there. So I'm doing the same thing to this eye. I'm just going to put Lime Crime's Pink Velvet over this. But again, any color that you happen to favor, whether it's a red, whether it's a burgundy, whether it's a plum, whether it's a purple, you just want something that's really going to brighten up your face and then make a statement. So this is basically my everyday 5-minute go-to face. You have two options, one that utilizes a very bright pink lip and a little bit more going on the eye, and the other one which is literally, if you have 5 minutes, it's just to slap on a couple products and head out the door. So thank you so much for watching. Hopefully you found this helpful.